Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another royal video. So, lots of stuff has been going on, and I was not going to talk about Endgame, or as Royal Rogue has renamed it, which I find far more accurate. The reasons why I don't want to talk about it is because it's by the same author that did Finding Freedom, and it is quite a serious attack on the royal family. It is definitely biased. It is exactly the same, if not in some ways worse, where people like Lady Colin Campbell had said that Finding Freedom was a hagiography. This is exactly the same. A hagiography is where you talk incredibly highly about your subjects. You almost make out the subjects of the biography as saint-like. And of course, Omid has naturally done this. Now, the reason why I've changed my mind is I'm going to put all of my thoughts into one video. I will say here, I have not read it. I am not going to buy it. I have no intention of wasting any moments of my life reading it. So all of my opinions throughout this video are from what I have taken from newspaper articles, and I have made sure that I have read quoted bits from the book rather than just someone's opinion. But again, I hate to say it in this instance, please do your own research. I have to cover my butt with this one because it's someone else's book. But he has really got the knives out. I say he, but I think most of us are aware that there might be some additional fingerprints all over this. And even if they deny that they had nothing to do with it, it's a case of the boy that cried wolf, because Harry and Meghan also denied, so did Omid, that they had anything to do with Finding Freedom. It was only embarrassingly several months later that we then established that they had in fact been heavily involved with the content that was given to Finding Freedom, and they had just basically tried to keep their hands clean. So the fact that Harry and Meghan have been completely silent on this also speaks volumes, but I will come to that shortly. Now, this book is supposed to be about the royal family and how it's now their end game, because Harry and Meghan left, you know, they're obviously naturally going to crumble. That is the general gist that you get from what Omid is trying to say. But it's clearly obvious from anyone that can see how popular our royal family are, including the King and Queen Camilla, in comparison to how popular Harry and Meghan are. Rather than this book being about the Windsors and all of the things that are going on inside the halls of, it were, Buckingham and Kensington Palace, this reads like a poison pen letter written by a venomous, immature, spiteful, vindictive 16-year-old girl. It reads like a burn book. For those of you that don't get the reference, a film called Mean Girls came out, and you had Regina George, the ultimate mean girl, before Meghan Markle arrived on the scene. And it's all to do with high school, and then when someone upsets you or you don't like someone, you get a photograph of them, you put them in the burn book, and you write really nasty things about them. It's a way of venting, I suppose. You don't expect the burn book to become public, and what Omid has done is, rather than a page dedicated, he's dedicated chapters. Now, what Omid has done, whether he has done it on purpose or by pure accident, he has tied Meghan into this book, because he clearly states that he has not had direct contact with Meghan. Careful of the wording, legal word in there, because he said that he had no contact with Harry and Meghan with Finding Freedom. When it all came out in the courts, he then had to say that he hadn't had direct contact with them. It had actually come from third parties. It had come from sources, from friends and palace staff that Meghan had used to pass information onto them. So straight away, the word in here, he hasn't had direct contact with Meghan or with Harry, but he does state that they share mutual friends, and that definitely helps with getting information and breaking details. So if this ship does in fact sink, which I think we can all see it is because of the backlash, Meghan has already been tied to it, because he's quite clearly saying that he's fact-checked through friends, and Meghan being the main source. Now, we're going to start with the most loudest story, which is being screamed about, and it's the royal racist. This is a phrase that was coined by the media, the royal racist. Harry and Meghan did not use those words themselves, but they took 3 years to deny that members of the royal family were in fact not racist. So they obviously were quite happy for that label to stick. Now, this story has surfaced because Meghan has been corresponding with the king. There were letters back and forth where she named not one, but two royal racists. Omid said that Meghan wasn't quite happy with the way that the king handled it, but she felt enough to move on. Again, I'm not directly quoting him. This is just the gist. First of all, big red flag here. Do you think the king and Queen Camilla would be that stupid to write letters to Meghan after what happened with the personal letter with Dear Daddy between herself and her father Thomas Markle? The fact that Meghan divulged again in the court case that that letter had been given not just to 5 friends, but I think Omid Scobie, possibly the makeup artist, definitely the lawyer, palace staff, her business manager, all of these people had copies of this letter. Needless to say, Meghan knows how to use a Xerox. Do you think that the king would have actually written a letter in hope that Meghan and Harry might actually keep the details of that private? I don't believe it, unless the king did in fact write to Meghan and then he had a very serious legally binding letter to go with it from the lawyers saying that if even a nano bit of this gets out into the world, there will be trouble. But again, I find that very hard to believe that the king would be threatening Meghan with lawyers and hitting her with an NDA. I'm not quite sure I believe that this letter happened. But regardless, the conversation of this letter has been divulged to release this. There are now 2, not 4, 2 royal races. 4 royal races will be the next time they tell the story. Now, I'm gonna, for those newbies, because I know some of you have been here, like me, from the very beginning, before the wedding, and some of you guys have only just tuned in after Oprah, or even later, because Harry and Meghan have turned the royal family's dramas into like a Kardashian-style TV show. There are lots of things that you may have missed. Now, first of all, we're gonna go back to Oprah, where the first version of events was Harry saying there was one conversation with a family member where they had commented about an unborn child, because Harry's wording on the same interview as Meghan was the conversation took place before he was married. So do the math. Before he was married, before she was pregnant. So there was no Archie.
That conversation I'm never going to share. But at the time it was awkward. I was a bit shocked.
Can you tell us what the question was?
No, I'm not comfortable sharing that.
Okay.
Meghan came onto the same interview and she turned around and said there were multiple conversations. She was not there. It was in fact multiple conversations that happened with Harry.
There is a conversation. Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
there are several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
with Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially, and what that would mean or look like.
Of course, Oprah did not think to question these two different versions of events. But what Meghan does go on to say in another clip of the said interview, she does actually reaffirm that it happened before she was pregnant, or she would have been mere weeks, because she doesn't know, she doesn't identify the sex of the baby.
They didn't want him to be a prince or a princess, not knowing what the gender would be, which would be different from protocol, and that he wasn't going to receive security.
Whether he would have been a prince or a princess. So it's quite obviously very vague of when that conversation happened, but it's clearly obvious there was no Archie at the time. They use Archie to make it sound worse, the way that Meghan said, because of Archie being a biracial baby, they were going to make sure he didn't have titles or security. And I would say that caused the biggest scandal to come out of Oprah, which made worldwide news. So let's go to Harry on The Late Show, right? This is Harry.
I actually really genuinely thought at the beginning of my relationship that should this go the distance and then we have kids, that there's no way the ginger gene will stand up to my wife's genes, but I was wrong.
So it's okay for Harry to talk about, before he was married, before Meghan was pregnant, that he had joked around about the fact that the baby might come out ginger or it might have Meghan's genes. Well, your wife is biracial. Surely that was Harry then being racist if you're going to use the same rules. It doesn't make sense, does it? It's like rules for thee, but not for me. Then, of course, we have the Tom Bradby interview. Both interviews, The Late Show and this, were discussing Harry's book Spare and the details that came out, where he baffled Tom Bradby.
In the Oprah interview, you accuse members of your family of racism. You don't even...
No, we didn't.
Well, of...
The British press said that.
Right.
Did Meghan ever mention that they were racist?
She said there were troubling comments about
There was
skin
concern
colour.
about his skin colour.
Right. Wouldn't you describe that as essentially racist?
I wouldn't.
Again, I say it took him 3 years to declare that his family are not racist, and he and Meghan never corrected the royal racist narrative, but now we've got a whole brand new version, and I'm going to tell you exactly who it is, because it's been implied that one of them does happen to be the very person that Meghan was writing those letters back and forth to. Yes, His Majesty himself. And the second one is, according to the leaked details which have come out from the Dutch version, the Dutch translation of Endgame, it is also expected to be the Princess of Wales. Again, both very highly unlikely. The fact that Harry and Meghan never named the royal racist at the time makes me think that they've always had this in their back burner. They've always used it as maybe a bit of a silent threat, that they could manipulate it and bend it to whoever it was that they wanted to heap harm on. And of course, since the king declared in his speech of his much beloved daughter-in-law, I can imagine that might have sealed Catherine's fate as being this imaginary second person. There is no way that asking or wondering about what a person's baby's features might be is racist. It's so ridiculous. Even Chris Rock called it out on his tour. It is an in-law thing that he said. Is the baby going to have blue eyes? Like Harry joked himself. Could the baby have the ginger gene? Is he going to have dark hair? Will he have curly hair? You know, it's an absolute absurdity that this was ever turned into the royal racist, which they've stirred up again. But it helps Meghan's narrative of why she was treated so unfairly. That's exactly why it was turfed up in the way that it was. But the Princess of Wales has been targeted, so she's been named as this second person indirectly, and this has been leaked. Omid is, of course, backpedaling. He's saying that he had nothing to do with it, but the problem is the boy that cried wolf. We've heard that all before. Some are saying it's because a version was mistranslated, but I can't understand how you can mistranslate someone's names. So we will wait and see what comes out about that one. But as I said, Omid seems to be sweating buttons a little bit, I'd say. Now, as for Catherine being targeted, can you think of why Catherine might have been targeted? They think that we're going to believe that the lovely Catherine, who has never ever put a foot wrong, who no one has ever spoken badly of in all the years that she's been part of the royal family, who adored Harry and was affectionately so close to him that he referred to her as the sister that he never had, is now meant to be this cruel, nasty woman that was rude and racist about his future children that were yet to be conceived. This same Catherine, who is friends with all of her family, her husband's family, Catherine has also got all of the same friends that she had when she was at university. So this is a woman that keeps her friends and her family, and she is very close and loyal to everyone. She is a loving mother. She misses events like the Earthshot Prize, where she could be televised and photographs everywhere, to stay home with her son because she prioritises being a mother. This is now apparently a bad thing, but hey, the media's been against stay-at-home mums for some time, so let's pile on Catherine as well. Now, the knives are really out for Catherine, and I say that Omid comes across as quite a misogynist, really. He labels Catherine as being little more than a voiceless symbol, a Stepford wife who has to be coaxed into doing engagements, and the Queen only really liked her because she was easy to mould. Palace staff were reported to have their very own nickname for Catherine, which was Katie Keane. This is because the princess was reportedly very shy to do any engagements, any work ethics. In fact, it's been made known that she's not going to take up full-time work in royal duties for 10 to 15 years until her children are grown up. I mean, of course, Omid has this inside knowledge. All Catherine reportedly does is turn up to events and smile. That's all that she's good for. She's called Katie Keane because she's keen to learn things. And all of that comes from is Duchess Diva or Diva Duchess, which Meghan was labelled due to her diva antics. We see what's going on. Now, this one's laughable. The palace instructed Catherine and Meghan to dress like Princess Diana so some of her sparkle would rub off on them. Well, this is a blatant cover-up for the simple fact that Meghan dressed like her mother-in-law. Now, I have to say that Catherine has worn a couple of outfits, bearing in mind that some of the pieces are timeless, fashion comes around again, and there are a couple of photographs where Catherine, you could say the same. But what makes it different with Meghan, and what makes it creepy and somewhat Norman Bates terrifying, Meghan practices Diana's movements, her speeches, her smiles. You can tell that Meghan is trying to behave like Diana. And not only that, she did that before she met, well, this was before she had started dating Harry, yes. And she has also done it since, wearing identical clothing. Meghan tried to make herself appear and have the same mannerisms as Diana. That's why we saw in the beginning that she was shy and stuff. This is what makes it unnatural and incredibly creepy, and she is definitely by far more of a stalker of her late mother-in-law, I would say. And as for the palace staff instructing Meghan to dress like her, they couldn't get Meghan to wear a pair of tights or to wear a hat on engagements, despite the Queen herself asking for her to do so. In more of a catty swipe, we have the fact that Catherine is a mental health advocate, but she ignored Meghan's cries for help. Oh, was that in between Meghan abusing palace staff, Catherine's own staff, bullying her little daughter? I mean, it's quite the small window, I'd imagine, where Catherine was meant to feel any sort of empathy towards her sister-in-law while she was busy marching round and making everyone's lives hell. Plus the fact Catherine did not marry Meghan. Meghan married this man. I know it. We saw it. It was the spectacle for the world, if you remember, even though they were reportedly married 3 days beforehand. Harry is the one that said that he would love her, that he would look after her in sickness and in health. Harry is also the one, as we hear continuously, how he was the founder, not true, it was William and Harry, of the Invictus Games, which of course means that he has worked alongside specialists that deal with really serious mental health issues, especially when it comes to veterans. He has advocated himself for lots of different mental health campaigns over the years, charity walks. He's also confessed that he has been in and out of therapy for years, and it was Meghan reportedly that got him help in one of the versions. He even had his therapist on speed dial when Prince William pushed him into the dog bowl and broke his little plastic necklace. But sure, his pregnant wife, who was threatening suicide, he took her to Cirque du Soleil instead and had no way of getting her help. Now, Omid begins to start bringing Prince William into it, that William was not keen on Meghan when he first met her. In fact, Catherine and William, from the first meeting, tried to keep Meghan very much at arm's length. I would say that's actually very astute of them, given everything that we have seen Meghan's behaviour during, after and since, revealing intimate details from conversations, text messages, all for a paycheck from Netflix or Spotify. So I think Catherine and William were actually spot on. In fact, I think anyone that called out Meghan and tried to warn Harry, including Prince Philip, was also spot on. In another swipe at the Prince and Princess of Wales, this one will get you. He says that when on the 9th of September, Catherine and William did the joint walkabout at Windsor, they collected Harry and Meghan, and the 150-second car journey was silent, and it must have felt like an eternity for poor Meghan. First of all, there's only people in that car that would have that information, thus further proving that Omid has been speaking to someone, whether it be second-hand, third-hand or fifth-hand. Then, what did they expect? Harry and Meghan had hurt the Queen in her final years. They had attacked William and Catherine on multiple TV shows, and the Queen had just died. They were devastated, and Harry and Meghan were causing problems with delay in flights, demands for uniform. They wanted to suddenly be involved with the Queen now that she was no longer on Earth with us. Did Meghan expect them to roll up in a party bus? You know, Catherine on the decks, William twirling some glow sticks, Pump Up the Jam playing. It's an absolute ridiculous thing to have even put in the book. But of course, they're trying to now paint this narrative of the evil Princess of Wales. I mean, it's really not going to wash, is it? Now, speaking of evil, let's go on to evil King Charles. This narrative has been pushed. Do you know that the King turned around and said that Harry was a fool after Netflix aired? That he said the royals must not trust Harry after Spare and to show caution when they speak to him. I can honestly say, no lies detected. Did you hear anything untrue in that? I say that the King was actually giving out very good advice. But before I move away from Charles, do you know what the evil King does as well? I have to tell you a secret. He has staff squeeze an inch of toothpaste out on his brush for him, and he has his shoelaces ironed. How diabolical can one man truly be? Absolutely disgusting. Now, we've got some new contenders for who's being targeted in this version of events. We have the Princess Royal, Princess Anne. She is the one that is held responsible for forcing Harry and Meghan's eviction from Frogmore. You can't evict people from a property that they don't live in, and the lease was not renewed. The King did make it very clear, if you attack my wife and attack the monarchy anymore, there will be consequences. Well, I would say that that was a consequence. Personally, if Princess Anne was the one responsible for doing that, I cannot love her and her beautiful red plume any more than I already do. Sophie and Edward are under fire. Do you know that Sophie and Edward, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, are now casually bigoted? Because in their first joint interview after Oprah had aired, a reporter for The Telegraph asked them about what their thoughts were, and they said, "Oprah who? What interview?" Joking. But you know, Serena Williams actually was on an interview with Naomi Campbell and said Meghan Markle, and Serena went, "Meghan Markle who? Where's the hoo-ha from Omid about that?" It was obvious that they were just being polite and a little bit amusing about it, going, "What interview? Have you heard about an interview?" Now Sophie and Edward are casually bigoted. Do you know why this has happened? Well, it's because Sophie was done with putting up with Meghan's shite. Meghan's attention seeking that she was doing at the Queen's funeral. One tear left I go, trying to get near Princess Charlotte, making sure that she was in the photographs. Sophie did not play the game anymore. I think all of the members of the royal family were done at this point. And we know especially Mike Tyndall was. Now let's move on to the arch nemesis, otherwise known as Prince William, Harry's brother. Well, Prince William was reported to have said he feels that Harry has been brainwashed by a team of therapists, that their relationship is officially over. There is no coming back for the brothers, and he had doubts about Meghan from the very beginning. Again, no lies detected. Now, it's not just Harry and Meghan that have got a problem with Prince William. Omid seems to get a little gripe of his out as well. And that was that Prince William was the one that blocked Omid from attending any royal events. I'm not really surprised given the hatchet job that Finding Freedom was. All of the nasty tweets that Omid has done, attacking the Prince of Wales, the Princess of Wales, the whole of the royal family. Did Omid still expect to be let inside the royal family's inner sanctum, that he would suddenly be asked to join the royal rota? I don't think so. And again, this is narcissism 101, where he actually comes across a little bit like Meghan. I'm somehow a victim here after I've completely trashed the royal family, that it was a miracle that I had even got that close to them in the first place. Omid Scobie was a trash magazine writer. I think it was like Heat magazine many years ago. A very different looking Omid. His career started with writing gossip about other people, and it looks like his career is going to end a very similar way. So Queen Camilla, she is next. She has obviously had a scathing attack, and she is again reportedly in bed with not just the media, Piers Morgan specifically. Omid has made several references to the fact that Piers Morgan and the Queen have a very close relationship. She congratulates him. They meet up every so often. Piers Morgan used his TV show to turn around and say, "Load of twaddle. It's not true." So as you can tell, Omid has put a lot of stuff in there that might find him ending up in a little bit of litigation himself. Now, Omid was quite misogynistic when he spoke about Catherine, but he takes it to a whole different sexism level when he talks about Queen Camilla. Listen to this little gem. Camilla might not have stood on the barricades in the 60s, but she did enjoy the sexual freedoms. Referencing some tabloid gossip, he said that Camilla is the sort to throw her knickers on the table and Camilla's undergarments making yet another appearance. What a despicable, misogynistic way to speak about a woman who is in her 70s and is also the King's wife, making her the Queen of the UK and the Commonwealth nations. Absolutely vile, completely unprofessional, and really, just, as I said, derogatory. Absolutely no need for that sort of talk. Now, naturally, we knew with this book that the royals would be portrayed of having every single characteristic, the worst human traits possible. And then, of course, you have saintly Meghan, who's never put a foot wrong. She's just at home in California making breakfast for her children because, of course, being a mum is her whole world, right? You can picture, with the birds tweeting. She stands in the gardens of Montecito doing yoga as the birds all sing to her. As I said, this is a complete hagiography, and it's just got the same sticky fingerprints over it that we saw with Finding Freedom. The book was promised to show the dark side of the royals: cold Catherine, power-hungry William, blundering Charles, and mercenary Camilla. There is nothing new in this book. Everything has already been said. It's just a slightly new version of what has been said by other people, by Harry and Meghan, through Spare, podcasts, magazines, through Oprah, and of course the narrative just slightly changes and actually gets a bit more vindictive every time we hear it. The only thing I would say is the big difference is the two names of the supposed royal racist has accidentally on purpose been leaked. I say that because I cannot see how that would even make its way over to, naturally, a country outside the UK. It didn't happen to UK publishers, did it? Of course, because we have serious laws. But of course, it's happened in the Netherlands, and they are now turning all of the books into mulch as quick as they can. But the genie is out of the bottle, and I can't help but think that that little genie was released on purpose. Omid is, of course, furiously backpedaling, and he's trying to wash his hands, saying this had nothing to do with me, much the same as I'm sure that Harry and Meghan will do the same. They'll be like, this got nothing to do with us. It's pretty obvious, however, with private conversations, intimate letters between Meghan and the King, what happened inside that car, all of the things to do with the Queen's funeral, who gave this information, whether it be secondhand through friends. It's pretty obvious where his source is. The fact that we have had no smiling, assassin pap walks in car parks. Harry and Meghan have been strangely very silent since the release of this book, and lots of people in the media are saying they need to come out and distance themselves from this. The fact that they are yet to do so tells you that they might have a lot more involvement, and the threat of Omid now potentially ending up in any sort of litigation could end up revealing that they have yet again forgotten how much involvement that they may or may not have had with the book. With this obviously being released, Harry and Meghan have now lost any, well, what some people believe, that they were potentially blackmailing the King over, that they would release who it was who was so awful about their unborn child who hadn't been conceived yet, potential genetics. Omid has called his book The Endgame, and I think it should actually just be called End of Games, because now that this book has come out, no one has got anything else, whether it be Omid, Harry and Meghan, left to say. They've got nothing to do with the royal family. The royal family are keeping them at arm's length, so they can't have any more conversations, any correspondence. I very much doubt that if Charles did pick up that birthday phone call, he's going to be picking up that phone call anytime soon. And it does make me laugh, because at a time when Harry and Meghan were making it very, very clear that they would be very receptive to receive an offer for Christmas, Omid, their main cheerleader, has absolutely blown any hope of that out of the water. And I just can't help but feel this is just a delicious bit of divine karma. Endgame was supposed to be about the royal family's fight for survival, but the only people I'm going to see fighting for survival is, of course, Harry and Meghan, and now Omid, for their careers. Harry and Meghan did declare on Oprah it'd be the one time that they actually vented their grievances. They said it would be the last time. So let's just truly hope, with this all out in the open now, there is nothing left to say. There is nothing left that they can potentially blackmail anyone with. It's all out there. The genie is out of the bottle. And I am just praying that we might actually end up with a little bit of a genuine privacy tour from this couple, because right now they're nowhere to be seen. Let's hope it continues. So that's it for me, guys. I will be back soon. Take care. See you soon. Bye.